Barbara Pierce Bush was the First Lady of the United States from 1989 to 1993 as the wife of George H. W. Bush, who served as the 41st President of the United States, and founder of the Barbara Bush Foundation for Family Literacy. She previously was the Second Lady of the United States from 1981 to 1989. Among her 6 children are George W. Bush, the 43rd President of the United States, and Jeb Bush, the 43rd Governor of Florida. Barbara Pierce was born in New York City. She met George Herbert Walker Bush at the age of 16, and the two married in Rye, New York in 1945, while he was on leave during his deployment as a naval officer in World War II. They moved to Texas in 1948, where George later began his political career. Barbara Pierce was born on June 8, 1925, at Booth Memorial Hospital, a Salvation Army facility at 314 East 15th Street on Stuyvesant Square in the New York City borough of Manhattan, to Pauline and Marvin Pierce. Because Booth Memorial Hospital moved in 1954 to Flushing, Queens, her birthplace is sometimes misreported as having taken place there, but that is an historical impossibility based on confusion about the hospital name. She was raised in the suburban town of Rye, New York. Her father later became president of McCall Corporation, the publisher of the popular women's magazines Red Book and McCall's. She had 2 elder siblings, Martha and James, and a younger brother, Scott. Her ancestor, Thomas Pierce Jr., an early New England colonist, was also an ancestor of Franklin Pierce, 14th President of the United States. She was a 4th cousin, 4 times removed, of Franklin Pierce and Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Pierce and her 3 siblings were raised in a house on Onondaga Street in Rye. She attended Milton Public School from 1931 to 1937, Rye Country Day School until 1940 and later the boarding school Ashley Hall in Charleston, South Carolina, from 1940 to 1943. In her youth, Pierce was athletic and enjoyed swimming, tennis, and bike riding. Her interest in reading began early in life. She recalled gathering and reading with her family during the evenings. When Pierce was 16 and on Christmas vacation, she met George H. W. Bush at a dance at the Round Hill Country Club in Greenwich, Connecticut. He was a student at Phillips Academy in Andover, Massachusetts. After 18 months, the two became engaged to be married, just before he went off to World War II as a Navy torpedo bomber pilot. He named 3 of his planes after her, Barbara, Barbara II, and Barbara III. When he returned on leave, she had discontinued her studies at Smith College in Northampton, Massachusetts. 2 weeks later, on January 6, 1945, they were married at the First Presbyterian Church in Rye, New York, with the reception being held at the Appomattox Club. They were married 73 years until her death on April 17, 2018, the longest married presidential couple in U.S. history until Jimmy and Rosalind Carter beat their record on October 17, 2019. For the first 8 months of their marriage, the Bushes moved around the eastern United States, to places including Michigan, Maryland, and Virginia, where George Bush's Navy squadron training required his presence. Over the next 13 years, George and Barbara Bush had 6 children who, among them, gave the couple a total of 14 grandchildren and 7 great-grandchildren. After the war ended, George and Barbara had their first child while George was a student at Yale University. The young family soon moved to Odessa, Texas, where George entered the oil business. In September 1949, Barbara's parents were in a car accident in New York and her mother was killed. Mrs. Bush was pregnant at the time with her second child, and was advised not to travel to attend the funeral. When the baby was born, she was named Pauline Robinson Bush in honor of Barbara's mother. The Bushes moved to the Los Angeles area for a time, and then to Midland, Texas in 1950. The Bushes would move some 29 times during their marriage. Over time, Bush built a business in the oil industry and joined with colleagues to start up the successful Zapata Corporation. Barbara raised her children while her husband was usually away on business. In 1953, the Bush's daughter, Robin, died of leukemia. When their daughter Dorothy was born in August 1959, the Bushes moved from Midland to Houston. In 1963, George Bush was elected Harris County Republican Party chairman, in the first of what would become many elections. In 1964, he made